Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a workout using our reformer. We're also going to be using our ball today, but if you don't have a ball, you can still participate in this workout. You can just do all the exercises without it. So let's come down to our reformer. We're going to start off with footwork. I'm going to use 3 springs on my machine, which is the Janet 2.0 from Personal Hour. I'm going to be using a yellow, a green, and a red. So I'm just adding my springs on now. And then once you have your springs on, you can lie down on your back. And I'm going to lift my headrest up at least 1 notch so that my spine can be in a comfortable position. You can do 2 notches as well. And then I'm going to take the ball and just place it right between my shins. And I want to make sure that it's not all the way down to the ankles and also not in between the knees. And then from here, I'm going to start with my heels on and my ankles flex so my toes can point up towards the ceiling. I'll take a breath in just to melt into my carriage. And then on the exhale, I'm going to press all the way out and lengthen my legs. Inhale, come back in. Exhale, press out. And I'm going to be here for 4. 3 more. Last 2. On the next one, we're going to press all the way out and then come in halfway. And I'm going to do my little pulses, pressing in and out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I'm going to press all the way out. Bend my knees, come all the way in. From here, I'm going to shift the ball in between the thighs. So once I have the ball in between the thighs, I'm going to take my feet down to the arches. And then I'm going to press all the way out, bring the carriage all the way back in. With your arches, you kind of want to wrap your toes over the bar and your heels under the bar for 3. 2 more. On the next one, we're going to come in halfway and we're going to hold it. From here, you're going to press in and out 1 inch for 3, 2, 1. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to squeeze the ball, holding the carriage steady for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then press all the way out. Bend your knees, bring the carriage all the way in, and then we're going to slide down with our toes on the bar. Heels are going to be lifted. You're going to have the balls of your feet and your toes placed on the bar, and then we're going to press in and out here with those toes on, keeping the heels extended up for 4. 3 more. Last 2. On the next one, we're going to come in halfway and we're going to do our pulses on the toes for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause, pulse the ball. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press all the way out. Bend your knees, come all the way in. Let's grab the ball in between our palms. And rather than gripping the ball tight, I'm going to press it in between my palms with my fingertips reaching up. Extend the ball right over the chest, press all the way out. And then from here, I'm just going to let my heels sink under the bar for that tendon stretch. When I lift, I'm going to squeeze the ball to activate the core. Inhale, exhale, let your heels sink. As we lift, we squeeze the ball. 2 more like that. Last one, sending both heels under the bar for that tendon stretch. Lift. And then I'm going to start to alternate. I'm going to send my right heel under. When I lift both, I'm going to squeeze. And I'm going to switch, lift both, and squeeze. So the pulse of the ball is when you lift both of your heels from your tendon stretch. 1 more on the left side. And then we're going to pick it up for a little pulse. Left, right, and I'm squeezing the ball. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift both of your heels and then bend your knees. Bring the carriage all the way into a close. Once you're into close, you can stretch your legs over the foot bar. Give your calves or your hamstrings a little stretch. While you're here, you're going to flatten your headrest all the way down. And then we're going to bring our heels onto the foot bar. We're going to do some bridging here. And for our bridging, I want to start with the ball underneath your tailbone. So lift your tailbone, place the ball right in underneath. And we're going to start off with just some pelvic tilt. So take a breath in. When you exhale, think about tilting the pelvis without lifting your tailbone, like you're almost trying to press your low back into the mat. And then take it back to a neutral spine position. And we're going to do 2 more like that. Pelvic tilt and lift. 1 more. Tilt the pelvis and lift. Perfect. Now we're going to go into a half bridge. We're going to lift up enough to restore the shape of our ball. So you're going to start with your pelvic tilt. You're just going to lift the tailbone and the low back. And then you're going to melt the low back onto your ball. Send your tailbone down back into a neutral pelvis. So you tilt, lift just the tailbone and the low back, not losing contact with the ball. We're going to do 1 more. Scooping yourself up, melting yourself down. And then from here, we're going to grab the ball, bring our hips all the way flat so we can take the ball and place it in between the thighs. And we're going to do the same thing here. So pelvic tilt. This time we're going to go all the way up into our high bridge, 1 vertebrae at a time, and then you're going to melt the spine down 1 vertebrae at a time. So pelvic tilt, scoop yourself up, and then melt yourself down. Perfect. And then go ahead and melt the spine all the way down. We're going to start to go into some hinge bridging. So now we're going to be lifting the hips with a flat back. No more articulation of the spine. So bring your hips straight up to the ceiling and then lower down. And then let's add a pulse of the ball. So lift, squeeze, lower. Lift, squeeze, and lower. 2 more. Lift, squeeze, and lower. Last one, we lift, squeeze, and lower. And then send your hips all the way down. Take a little break here. We're going to do one last thing in our bridge, and we're going to do a hamstring curl. So you're going to lift your hips up to the ceiling, hold it here, and we're just going to press the carriage open halfway and pull it close, keeping the hips up to the ceiling. Press and close. And if you'd like, you can press all the way out to an extension. If you want to try that challenge a little bit, maybe take it up for more of an intermediate flow today. We're going to do 2 more. Last one. And I'm just going to melt my hips all the way down. Once they come all the way down, I'm going to cross my left ankle over my right thigh and just reach my right leg up to the ceiling. I'm going to roll the ball up, give myself a little stretch of my outer glute on the left side. And then I'm going to switch, take my right ankle over my left thigh, and then roll it up for a little stretch on the right side. Perfect. And then go ahead and relax all the way down. Let's place our ball to the side for a moment so we can make a quick spring change. So for a spring change, I'm going to go to 1 spring, and I'm going to choose the green spring on my machine, which is probably the second lightest option, because we're going to be doing some single arm work supine, laying on our back. So for that, you're going to need your machine to be a little bit lighter since you're only doing 1 arm for this. So let's go ahead and come down all the way flat with our single spring on. And we're going to start off with our left strap. So grab your left short loop in your left hand, and then the ball you're going to place on your right thigh. And it's going to have your right palm pressing into the ball, but then your thigh counter pressure. So once you're here, you're going to float your legs into tabletop, and we're just going to go into a lat press. So exhale, press down to your hip, and then inhale, reach back up through center. Exhale, press down. Inhale, reach. And here, if you'd like, you can start to add a chest lift. So every time you press down, you can curl the head and chest up through the center if you want to add that to your practice today. We're going to do 2 more. Last one. And then let's go ahead and relax the feet on the foot bar here for a second and take a little pause. We're going to stay on this side though. So now we're going to add a single leg stretch. So every time that we press the carriage open, we're going to stretch our left leg. So press down, stretch your left leg. And again, you can add a chest lift here. Every time you press, you can stretch your left leg if you want to add that in. And you keep the pressure of your right palm pressing into your right leg. 2 more. Last one. Perfect. And then bring it all the way in. Take a pause here. We're going to add on a little bit. So we're going to take our legs up to the ceiling. Point your toes. Press that ball into your thigh. And then as you press, you're going to lower your left leg. So now we're in a scissor. So lower the arm, lower the leg. And if you want to make this a little more challenging, again, add that chest lift in for your last 3. 2 more. Perfect. Last one. Very good. Go ahead and bring your knees back into a tabletop. We're going to do one last exercise here. We're going to bring the legs into our tabletop to start. Lower your arm down to touch the carriage. If you want to make it more challenging, take that left leg out to a tape or to a 45 and curl the head and chest up. We're going to bend the elbow and press. This is your tricep press. Modifications, you can bend this knee, take the head down. Either way you'd like to progress your flow today, or maybe take it down a little bit for your last 2. Last one. And then you can bend your elbow. We're going to switch. We're going to place our long loop back on the peg. And then we're going to grab our right loop and do the same on the other side. So for this side, we're going to do the same. Grab your short loop, but now we're going to switch the ball over to your left thigh and left palm. Bring your legs into tabletop. Let's just start off with our lat press. Down to your carriage, back up to the ceiling. And you can add your chest lift. Every time you press down, you can curl your head and chest up. For your last 2. Last one. Perfect. Relax your head and chest down. We're going to add on with our single leg stretch. So let's take that ball, press it into your left thigh. And then as you press down, you're going to stretch your right leg. And remember, you can add in your chest lift if you want to make it a little bit more challenging. That's always going to use a little bit more core strength to curl the head, neck, and chest up. 2 more. Last one. And then relax here. We're going to go into that scissor. So you'll take both legs up to the ceiling and your arm. And then as you press down, you're going to lower the right leg. And you got to keep that pressure on the ball. That's what's really going to use those obliques and get those active here. 2 more. Last one. And then we can go ahead and relax here before we finish up with our tricep press. So for your tricep press, legs are in tabletop, the elbow is close to your body, and you just press down and lift. And if you did on the other side, holding that leg out to extension or adding that chest lift for 3 more. Last 2. Last one. Perfect. Go ahead and bring it all into a close. You can hook up your loop there, and we're going to come up to seated. We're going to be facing towards you guys. So we're going to start off facing the camera or facing towards you, and you're going to have your right hand closest to your foot bar. So right hand is closest to the foot bar. We're going to just place the ball on top of our headrest, which is flat, to start off. And then I want you to take your heels and just lift them off the floor and then press the carriage open. Now, if the spring that you're on is too heavy, you can always take it down to a lighter spring. But from here, you're going to press the carriage open and then round your spine back. Hold it there, and then we're just going to lift the right toes and then the left. Right and left for 4, 3, 2, last one, and then bring that carriage in. Take a little breath there. You can even add on a spring if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, and then you can also keep the heels lifted up a little bit higher. Let's press the carriage open. Hold it open. We're going to have both heels lifted off the floor, and then from here you're going to lift your toes and lower. Now, if this is too challenging, you can even go from heels down to heels up. So that's an option. That's your modification. Heels lower and lift. Or you can do both. For 2, last one. And then bring the carriage in. Take a pause. We have one last exercise here. For our last exercise, you're going to push the carriage open. Left leg is going to be heel lifted off the floor. Hand is going to go behind the head. We're going to lift our right and then draw your knee to your elbow. Keeping the carriage open. 4 more. Last 3. 2 more. Last one. Perfect. Go ahead and relax. Bring it all the way in, and then we're going to take the left leg back. Flex it into your shoulder box. Right leg, you're going to cross it in front. If this is uncomfortable, you can always sit crisscross, or you can let the legs just hang over the side of your carriage. Bring your right hand onto the foot bar. Left arm out to a T. You're going to press away and just reach up and over for a lateral bend. Open again to center. Press away. Reach up and over. Open to center. We're going to add in some rotation. So reach up and over, rotate the chest, bring both hands onto your foot bar, and just lower your head and chest down towards the floor. And then lift up through center, looking through straight arms with your shoulders down and back. Take your left arm up and over, and you can place it on your headrest. Take a little stretch over to the right. And then let's keep the ball on the headrest. We are going to have one medium spring. You can also take it up a little notch and do one heavy spring. We're going to do some single leg work, so your choice. You can kind of experiment here and see what works best. On my machine, I'm using a single green, which is pretty medium, not quite heavy though. So we're going to do some sideline work. You're going to come down onto your left hip. The ball is going to become a pillow. You'll just rest your head on the ball, and your left arm can tuck back. And it's important here to keep this part of your body lifted. So you want to make sure that that space in between your lowest rib and your hip is lifted. And then we're going to grab this long loop and place it on our right foot. So once you have the loop on your right foot, your butt is scooched back towards the back edge, hips and shoulders stacked. We're going to start with just a bend and stretch. So we're going to stretch to the foot bar, pull your knee back in, bend and stretch. We want to keep that side body lifted so it's not just collapsing into the carriage, keeping the spine in a good alignment. We're going to be here for 4. 3 more. Last 2. Last one, you're going to stretch to the foot bar. I want you to externally rotate your foot so your toes point up to the ceiling. You're just going to lift a couple inches and lower. Lift and lower. You want to try to keep that front hip stacked, so don't let it roll back behind you for your last 3. 2 more. Last one. I want you to pause here. Rotate the foot so it's back in a neutral position. Sweep the toes forward, flex the ankle, kick the heel back. Sweep it forward, flex it back. That's it. Forward and back. 2 more. Forward and back. On the next one, we're going to sweep it forward just about halfway, point your toe, and you're going to make little circles to the front for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to reverse. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and bend the knee. Take that loop off carefully. Hook it onto the peg. And then once you're here, you can kind of tap out the hip before we take it over to the other side. So we're just going to round over or roll over. So we're laying on our other side. And then same setup here. So resting your head on your pillow, which is your ball. Hips are stacked. You have that space in between your low rib or your lowest rib and your hip. And then you're just going to place the long loop on your left foot now. Hips are going to be stacked. You just scooch back towards the edge and then lift this foot up to hip height. We're going to bend and stretch. And it's really key to try to keep the foot at hip height. So you don't want to be down here. You want to be nice and high so we can really engage that glute. We've got 3 more. Last 2. On the next one, you're going to stretch, externally rotate that foot, and we lower and lift. And we want to keep those hips stacked, those shoulders stacked for your last 3. 2 more. Last one. Lower it down. We're going to rotate that foot so it's back to a neutral position. Point the toe and just kick that leg forward. Flex and kick it back. Point and take it forward. Flex and take it back. Perfect. 3 more. Last 2. On the next one, we take it forward halfway, little circles forward. 4, 3, 2, 1, reverse. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. You can bring it in, take that loop off, carefully hook it onto the peg, and then we are going to round up to seated, and we're going to be doing our ab series, our seated ab series now on this side. So you have your ball placed on your headrest. We're going to, if you need to adjust the springs to your original tension that you did facing the other direction, you can. Push the carriage open, hold it here. We're going to round the spine back, lift your heels off the floor, and we're going to lift the right toes and then the left. We're just marching here for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. You can bring the carriage in for a close. Take a little breath here. And then let's go ahead and push the carriage open again. Here you can either go with that lower the heels, lift the heels, lower the heels, lift the heels, or we can lift and lower both. For 3, 2, last 1, and then we'll bring the carriage all the way in, come back up to seated, and then let's do that last exercise, which is our rotation. So you can place your hand behind your head, open the carriage. You're going to lift your left leg into a tabletop, and then we're just going to draw the right elbow to the knee and back to center. For 4, 3, last 2, last 1. And then bring your carriage all the way into close. We'll come into that Z-sit position. So you have your right leg flexed this time, and your left is going to be flexed in the front. We push away from the foot bar. Take your right arm up and over for a lateral bend. And then opening, extending back out to a T. Reach the right arm up and over. On the next one, let's add the rotation of the spine. So we're going to reach up and over, give ourselves a little twist, lower the head and chest down towards the floor, lift it up through straight arms with those shoulders down and back. Take that right arm up and over, and then take the left over for a nice counter stretch. Perfect. And then let's go ahead and adjust our springs. I'm going to use either one green or one red, so just one spring for this. And I'm going to do, let's do one green for me. And depending on how much support you need, the heavier the spring, the less challenging this will be. So keep that in mind. Now we're going to take the ball and place it in between our thighs. And then our feet are going to be toes flexed with your heels pressed into your shoulder blocks. And then from here, you're going to bring your palms right on top of your foot bar. And I'm going to have my thumbs go over as well. My shoulders are not past my wrist though. So I'm going to keep my shoulders a little bit behind the wrist. Now from here, the flex comes from your hip. So keep that in mind. We're going to press the carriage back. When we do that, you see my hips are the only thing moving, bringing me into a perfect high plank position. So I'm not sending the knees forward or the shoulders forward, just the knees are going back with the hinge of the hip. So the only thing moving here is the hip flexion into my high plank. Let's do one more. Perfect. We're going to hold our high plank here, and then I want you to hinge the shoulders, taking yourself deeper into that long stretch. Down towards your spring, and then back up through center. So you can see I'm staying in that plank position. I'm not sinking the hips down towards the floor, and the hips aren't hinging in either direction. It's just the shoulders doing the work. Back to center. Perfect. On the next one, let's hinge and hold it here. Now your choice. You can either send the elbows down or the elbows out. We're going to do just a couple light push-ups. Let's do 3, holding our plank position. 2. Last 1. Lifting back into our plank. Hinge the shoulders forward. Draw your knees in. You can take your toes a little bit past your shoulder blocks. Give yourself a little stretch, pushing away from the foot bar. If you'd like, you can even take your left arm across to the other side for a little twist. Switch over to the opposite side. Bring everything back into center, and we're going to add on another spring. We're going to be doing feet and straps. So 2 springs for you. You can either do, if you want a little bit heavier and you have a similar machine like me, you can do a green and a red is a good option. You can also try 2 reds, which is pretty heavy. Your choice here, just a fun opportunity to experiment with your machine and see what works best. So I have my 2 springs on. I'm doing a green and a red, so moderate. And then we're going to go ahead and lay down on our back. And then once you're on your back, I like to lift my headrest for my feet and straps as well. So 1 notch or 2, just so I can kind of get a better idea of where my feet are in space. And then you're going to grab your short loops. I'm going to place the ball in between my shins for my feet and straps. If you've had enough of the ball today, you can just place it to the side. All right. And then take your legs up to the ceiling with your loops right at the arches. We're just going to start off with some lower and lift. So a nice way to calm everything down. You just have that ball in between. And if you want to add a little more inner thigh work, when you lower the legs, you can squeeze the ball, lift the legs, squeeze. Again, if you've had enough of the ball, you can just throw it to the side. Totally your choice. You can also go into a little V, and that's going to really work the inner thighs. I do 2 more. Last one. Go ahead and lower down, bend your knees into a tabletop. Let's go into our bend and stretch. In and out. We're going to be here for 4 more. And you can add in those pulses of the ball if you want for that inner thigh work for your last one. And then let's start to add on to it. Stretch the legs out, sweep them up to the ceiling, bend your knees, press it out, up to the ceiling, bend your knees. 2 more. Out, up, and bend. Last one. Out, up, and bend. And then we're going to reverse. Up, down, in, up, down, in. And we're going to do 2 more here. Last one. And then let's bend the knees. If you have your ball, just go ahead and take it out, place it to the side. We're going to take the legs up to the ceiling and just go into some big leg circles. We're going to do 6 in this direction. So let's do 3 more before we reverse to the opposite. Last 2. Last one, and then we're going to reverse our circles. So we'll take it out, up and around. And then we'll just do maybe 2 more. 2 more. You can have 6 and 6. And then we'll take the legs up to the ceiling. Let's pause here. Grab onto the tape and just give yourself a little pull. I'm going to keep my right leg reaching up to the ceiling and just let my left fall out to the left. And then bringing it back to the center, and I'm going to switch. Right leg out to the right. Perfect. And then I'm going to come back to the center, and I'm just going to let both legs fall out. You can even take your hands, if you're comfortable, and press the loops down to stretch a little deeper, or you can press on the thighs or the shins. I'm going to bend my knees, and I'm going to go into a little bit of a happy baby, rocking side to side. I'm going to take the soles of my feet together, lower them down towards the springs. I'm just going to take my palms and rest them on my rib cage with my elbows relaxed. And we're going to take a deep breath in through your nose, breathing into your back ribs, and then out through your mouth. 2 more like that. We'll do 1 more deep breath. And then slowly start to take your feet out of those loops, bringing your feet onto the foot bar. Once your feet are on the foot bar, you can hook your long loops onto your pegs. We're going to come up to seated. I'm going to stay with my 2 springs on, and you can have either feet on the platform or on the foot bar, wide stance. And I'm just going to push into the foot bar and stretch into my hamstrings, rolling my head forward. Nice stretch here. Bend your knees, pull the carriage in. Let's switch the foot position to a parallel feet position, and then stretch. Nice long stretch here. And then bring the carriage in. We're going to come all the way in until Our carriage is closed. I'm just going to sit crisscross here and let my left hand hang down to the side as I reach my right arm up and over, and then switch to the other side. And I'm going to take both arms up to the ceiling, reaching up, giving myself a nice long stretch of the spine, and then exhale, closing my arms out to my hips, where we are all finished. Thank you guys so much for joining me for today's Reformer workout using our ball. If you enjoyed this workout, let me know in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you guys in our next Reformer workout. Any suggestions or any requests, please let me know in the comments. I will make any videos you guys request for me, and I'm so grateful for all of your support. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye.